right, hello. Again, let me re-welcome everybody on behalf of my lovely wife, Lori, and my daughter, Allie, and my other daughter, Tori, and her wife, Kate, and their lovely child that Sydney has absconded with, Margot. Yeah, Margot's looking at me like going, what are you doing? Anyways, I'd like to more formally welcome you to the kickoff event for the weekend, and we're looking forward to a beautiful celebration of Dillon and Sydney. Yeah. So, as befitting their love of travel and adventuresome spirit, we have quite an international group in the bridal party. We have representatives from Europe. If we could see who's came over from Europe. Yes. Obviously, most of us from the U.S. And then we have one even from down under. So thank you all for making the journey and being part of this lovely ceremony. And finally, a special welcome to the Lassiter family, to Anne and Larry, and a thank you for everything. Their lovely son, Levi, and other son, Zachary. As, of course, and the real boss of the family, Ty, the good boy, who is sitting there going, why didn't I get to come? He's looking at this and saying, I'll just start at the right and move my way left. So, as Dillon and Sydney have gotten much closer, we've been very fortunate and privileged to get to know the Lassiters much better, and it's just a pleasure. We're so happy this marriage is going to bring our two families closer together, especially on weekends in the summer with the boat and those jet skis. Those jet skis have our name on it. And so tell the builder, don't be skimping on that guest room. But seriously, no, this is not about the families. It's about the main attraction, Dillon and Sydney. Aren't they the most amazing couple ever? With the exception, of course, of my wife, Lori, and Anne and Larry. So I guess you're the third most amazing couple. But they're perfect for each other. They're perfect compliments. Oh. All right, I'm dying up here, I know. Yeah. You can do it. No, but Dillon and Sydney are the perfect complement to each other. Dillon is low-key and chill, and Sydney has a lot of energy. Dillon is a man of few words and fewer syllables. And Sydney can carry the conversation for everybody. Dillon never used to share with us, where he was going or what he was doing. And with Sydney, if you follow her Instagram, you always know where she is. You also know what she's eating that night. And Dillon has a keen eye and can always see the diamond in the rough. And Sydney loses her diamond in the rough. So they are the perfect couple. And as a parent, you want the best for your kids. And of course, nobody is good enough for your own. But Sydney, in you, Dillon has found the best. And we're just so excited. Can't imagine a better person for Dillon to spend the rest of his life with than with you. And so we just want to say, welcome to our family. And we're thrilled that you've chosen Dillon. And to Dillon, we just want to say, for God's sakes, don't blow it. So grab your glass and raise your glass in a toast. As my late mother would say in her native language, Spanish, salud, amor y amigos, y el tiempo para gustarlos. Health, love, and friendship, and the time to enjoy them. Aww. Cheers.
You're done.
No, I'm done. Thank you. Now I'm sorry. So are we going to just go in sequence?
My high school friends are.
want the hold it or in the...
She got nervous. Hi, I'm Mary, and this is Kelly, Molly, and Eve. We're Sydney's friends from high school, also known as the crew. I should mention that we tend to call her Sid B with a B, so if you hear that in the toast, don't be confused. I don't think any of us have said her given name since we were like 13 years old. I'd like to kick this off by defining the word bridge, just in case you haven't heard of that word. A bridge, according to Wikipedia, is constructed for the purpose of providing passage over an obstacle, or something that is otherwise difficult or impossible to cross. Basically, a bridge is something that welcomes you to a new place. I bring it up because that has always been the role of Sid B for us. Someone who encourages, guides, and supports, making her friends feel safe, cared for, and always loved.
Oh gosh. Whew. I first met Sydney in 2006. We were on the same softball team. I was about to start middle school at Westminster, which felt very big and very intimidating. Sydney, who was always confident and happy and inviting, oh no, was my introduction to this new place, and I immediately felt comfortable with her by my side. Through Sid, I met Mary and Molly, and together with Eve, we pretty quickly and seamlessly formed our unbreakable little group of 5. Sid B, while you were a bridge for us into what has become a lifetime of friendship, we hope this weekend we can be a bridge for you, connecting your childhood all the way to now, as you begin your marriage and a new chapter of life.
Go to the sad one. I have the jokes. We have the jokes. We got jokes.
All together, we transitioned from kids to teenagers to adults. And Mr. and Mrs. Lassiter, who are just the most welcoming people on the planet, I can't look at you, would take us along on all the family trips where we would all lay side by side, getting sunburned, and rereading Harry Potter books. And we grew up together in this bubble of our collective dorkiness. And we taught each other so much. To that point, I'd like to take a moment to formally apologize to Sydney's parents for teaching her how to use sarcasm, which infamously changed the entire Lassiter family dynamic. And so I'm so sorry about that, but I still blame my brothers for it.
I would also like to apologize, not just to Mr. and Mrs. Lassiter, but also to Dillon. You see, while others were focused mainly on Harry Potter, Sydney and I developed an unabashed love of romance novels. And we really enabled each other's obsession with this really embarrassing genre. When Sid B and Dillon started getting serious, I was worried. I was pretty sure, based on what I knew, that he wasn't an Irish laird, an elven king, or even a vampire. He was just, a guy we went to high school with. My worries were soon put to rest, even though there was no time travel or magic or immortality involved. I could tell that Sibby had met her Prince Charming. So we are so honored to be here to celebrate and help guide you into this new chapter. So with much love for our amazing friend, Sid B, and her husband-to-be, we'd like to raise a glass to a truly happily ever after. Cheers. I forgot my drink. I'm not sure who's next. I don't want to do that.
Casual, just let it cry. She can't hit.
So sorry, I'm just walking through that.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Jack Verducci. I'm one of Dillon's college friends. First and foremost, thank you to the Jaffes and the Lassiters for bringing us all together. Dillon and Sydney did their part, but really it's the parents we know that put on all these events. So thank you for that. This is going to be an awesome weekend. So I've known Dillon for just over a decade. We played on the football team together. We were in cottage club together. So I was like, okay, well, what am I going to talk about? I've known him for a while. I should figure something out. So I think Dillon can be encapsulated in 3 words: fun, intelligent, and passionate. So fun, right? So Dillon, despite his reserved nature, he actually has an energy that draws people towards him. And when you're actually at a party, you're like, this guy's pretty interesting. Like, maybe we could be friends. Maybe we could be friends. Okay, sure. But going back to our football days, Dillon and I were on the team for a combined 8 years. We also combined for 0 touchdowns. Robbie didn't have any touchdowns either, but so don't think he was above us. But Dillon and I, despite our lack of production on the field, deemed ourselves social All-Americans. So despite the games on Saturday mornings where we didn't have to do much, Thursday nights were good nights, anything with a theme night, Saturdays, sometimes they would embarrass us and make us practice extra early on Sunday morning. None of that fazed us because we were going to have fun. And we thought we kind of flew under the radar until the last team meeting, our senior year. We're supposed to go undefeated. We wind up going 5-5. And we're like, well, we didn't have anything to do with this. We played like 10% of the time. Our head coach, who did know our names, said, and a microcosm of why we were an underachieving team can be encapsulated in 2 guys. He's like, a lot of people tried hard. Jack Verducci and Dillon DeFay didn't even bother to pass the run test their senior year. So we had fun along the way, right? So number 2, intelligent. It doesn't take a lot of time and conversation to tell that Dillon has a pretty impressive mind, right? Yeah, he can elucidate complex topics. He can be conversant in current events. But what's really impressive is he has a really weird esoteric knowledge of just irrelevant topics, right? So Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, random stuff, pretty impressive. The guy's a Rolodex for things you never need to know, but if you want to play trivia, like, he is your guy. The smartest thing he's ever done, though, is figure out how to hold on to Sydney, right? So kudos to him for that. And then passion, right? And this probably encapsulates him the most, right? So whether it's the Georgia Bulldogs, watching them overseas at 4 a.m. when he could just tape delay it, holding an argument about how Chick-fil-A is better than any other regional delicacy. Not a chain, a delicacy. Or one time he actually vehemently argued that you could tell the success of a future NFL head coach based on their hairstyle. And so Dan Quinn never had a chance for the Falcons fans. Passion goes both ways, though, right? Because I've never seen anybody be able to hold a grudge quite like Dillon. There was one time, not on the intramural A League, but the intramural B League, my fraternity played Dillon's fraternity in basketball, and we happened to win, and I swear, Dillon didn't talk to me for a week. So it does go both ways. But in all seriousness, his passion and dedication to his loved ones, his friends, is second to none. We've seen Dillon come from Amsterdam to the States countless times, to go to our weddings, to be at events that, some of us would think is frivolous. But he's always there, and he always shows up, and we've never had to guess where he stands. And we know now, in the last couple of years, that what he's most passionate about is Sydney's happiness, which is great, and it bodes you well for your future. But to wrap up here, so fun, right? They're both so fun. There's never going to be a dull moment in your future together. Intelligence, I don't think you're ever going to take Sydney for granted, which is really all you need to do. And then I think Dillon's going to bring the passion that he brings to the Georgia Bulldogs or Chick-fil-A or anything else. Probably he didn't like to lose in board games, I assume, as a kid. But he will bring that to being the best husband, the best father that he possibly can. So I have no doubt that you guys will have many decades of happiness together. Cheers to the Jafays.
The cutest thing. Okay. Hey y'all, I'm Katherine. Sorry, I literally had to. Okay, so Sydney and I have been friends since 2006, but something that you might not know about us is that we have had the same longtime, really close mutual friend. This friend has been there for us in times of joy and times of sadness. She's been dead for 200 years, and I am talking about Jane Austen. Yeah, this is about to get really nerdy. So, Sydney and I, we love Jane Austen. We've obsessed over Pride and Prejudice together, specifically Joe Wright's 2005 film adaptation starring Keira Knightley, which is the best one, and I don't want to fight with anyone about it, but I also will. When we studied abroad together, we got to go to Bath, which is the setting of many of Austen's characters' ballroom flirtations. And we were frankly very embarrassing in our geekdom at this place. Sydney also recently revealed to me that her favorite thing to fall asleep to is the first chapter of Persuasion, which we can all agree, like, it's not her most exciting, but it's nice to know that it's a comforting novel. So in most of Austen's work, you don't see past the wedding. It's all about the longing looks across ballrooms, the witty repartee over tea, the beautifully written letters that lead up to two people agreeing to get married. Jane herself never got married, keeps me up at night, which makes a lot of sense to me. I think that when you spend your life conjuring these epic love stories, it can be hard to find someone who can actually live up to that standard. And thanks to Jane, I call her Jane, that standard has been chased by millions of people, but women. And that's the comforting thing about a fellow Austen head deciding to get married, is that you know that if they do make that decision, it means that they've found someone who has risen to that standard. And that's the Mr. Darcy standard. And, well, Dillon and Sydney may not have had handwritten letters delivered on silver trays or tents, the good kind of tents, carriage rides together. They have had moments that feel ripped from a more modern Austen, the return of a long dormant crush, traipsing around Europe together, early morning garden strolls that end with a diamond ring. Sorry, I said it was gonna be nerdy. But they also have had the real stuff, the stuff that Austen's books didn't even get to. The making of a home together, the supporting each other through career changes and through sick parents. Paying exorbitant amounts of money to get yet another tennis ball removed from their dog's stomach. So basically, the stuff of partnership, the stuff of marriage, the stuff of real romance. Dillon and Sydney, I love you most ardently. And I can't wait for tomorrow. Cheers. I do love you most ardently. Okay, which boy's gonna follow that? Good luck.
I'm gonna try to do this without notes because my hands do shake aggressively when I speak in public, and Sydney did insist on paper notes, and I thought I would spare everyone that. Hi, my name is Dixon, and I am one of Dillon's friends from college, but I do, of course, proudly say it with me, like Sydney more. No, Dillon is, of course, one of my favorite people, and I am honored to be here toasting them both tonight. Dillon and I became friends very early on in our freshman year through our fraternity, and we were a bit of an odd couple in the early days. Dillon was, of course, the big football guy with football friends, and was from the South and stoic and had a beard and wore jeans that didn't fit him very well. And I, on the other hand, was the preppy Northeasterner, flamboyant, better friends with girls, that kind of guy. You get the idea. But nonetheless, we found love for each other in our differences and all of that. And I, of course, got to know that Dillon was much more than that first impression. My first hint that Dillon was a total dweeb was that he insisted that our friendship have a nickname. And specifically in true Dillon fashion, a nickname that came from Lord of the Rings. Yeah, of course. It was the Alliance of Men and Elves, shortened to the Alliance. which celebrated our differences. For those that are not huge Lord of the Rings fans, like I obviously am, the alliance of elves and men is when two traditionally different, at odds groups came together to work for a common goal of, I want to say, winning a battle? Finding the rings? Dill? Okay, well, it was one of those. Also, I think separately we can look back and realize who was men and who was elves in that analogy and recognize there was a bit of a microaggression. But anyway, we were the alliance and we grew to love each other. Yeah. But I think looking back on that, I've come to realize it's reflective of one of my favorite things about Dillon, which is his true desire to and talent at surrounding himself with people that are not necessarily the same as him. That challenge him, that have different experiences than him, that help him be not the same person tomorrow that he was today. And I think it's a really admirable thing that he brings. And obviously, he moved to a country where he didn't speak the language and didn't have a friend group, and look at all the amazing people that you have brought in today and have helped you become the amazing person you are today. Genuinely, your pants fit so much better now. But I think that desire to learn and evolve and grow is why I think Dillon has found a uniquely perfect partner in Sydney. Sydney is someone who I think people that know her better than I do here can attest cares so much about doing the right thing, is so strong in her beliefs and willing to fight for them, is a learner and ultimately a teacher and a nurturer and wants to share her wisdom with those around her, and is just an incredible person and partner and someone that I'm so lucky to know. You got Dillon through the long hair phase, and if that's not personal growth, I don't know what is. But let's raise a glass to the happy couple. Thank you so much for having us all here. I'm so honored to be here. I love you both. Cheers.
The alliance is strong.
You didn't jump in. I wanted you to give me a full explanation.
Tough act to follow, but someone has to, am I right? So first of all, we would love to thank the Defays for a lovely evening tonight, and the Lassiters for what we know is going to be just an unforgettable weekend.
By way of background, Natalie and I have known Sydney since middle school. I was lucky enough to become close with Sydney in college, and when Sydney moved back to New York from Montenegro, I knew it would be a blast to all live together.
And live together we did in a tiny, and we mean tiny, apartment in the West Village in New York on Waverly Place. Many jokes were made about that. But many memories were also made, mostly thanks to... And, come on. Mostly thanks to Sydney and her truly unbeatable planning skills. So our weekends were jam-packed. Birthdays and holidays were celebrated to the fullest. Sydney even paid close to $100 to bring the world's tiniest Christmas tree into our apartment just so that we could have some holiday cheer. And all these things really speak to who Sydney is. She's a giver. She thinks about other people. She's the biggest hype woman, the ultimate sharer, and the most loyal of friends.
When Sydney moved to New York, her and Dillon had already started a long-distance thing that started developing into something more. As much as the two of us were excited for her, we could also feel her slipping away, and we were terrified of her leaving us. What were we going to do if she was overseas on the weekends? What's great about Sydney, though, is she knows what she wants, and she is not afraid to take risks. So despite our efforts, she went off to Amsterdam after 2 years of living in New York. While she left us in person, she remained in spirit, and we were taught several lessons in the wake of her departure. After all, she is a teacher. Sydney taught us how to create the perfect bubble bath,
How to wear eye masks while biking to work. Also, how to learn how to ride a bike in her 20s.
how to use a selfie stick,
How to live fully in the moment.
and how to not let fear get in the way of your path to happiness.
Dillon, we're biased, but we really think that you scored a 10 out of 10, and we know the same way that Sydney gives to her relationships and friendships will be replicated tenfold in you as a partner. So we are so happy for you both and can't wait to see where life takes you next. Although selfishly, we hope that it's in the US.
In the words of Sydney, cheers, y'all.
I love y'all.
Oh, yes. Hi, guys. I'm Jeff. I'm a friend of Dillon and Sydney's from their life in Amsterdam. So I'll be representing part of the Amster fam today. We've got Dillon, Lau, Nadia, Bendel. Where'd you go? There you are. A group that loves Sydney and Dilly very much. A group that will also be really easy to spot on the dance floor tomorrow night. Gauntlet thrown down, dogs, tigers, where you at? But the ironic thing is that today is the very first day that we've spent in the United States together, which is mind-blowing. And the sixth country that Dillon and I have visited here. And that all started working together at Liberty Global. Big woo. You're also speaking, so you can talk about Liberty Global then. But when you live abroad, there's a part of it that's all about growing up again. And I got to do that with Dillon and see him do that with such poise and grace that I assumed that he was older than me. So you can imagine my surprise when I found out that I was 3 years his senior. Get it together, Jeff? I was blown away. And only mildly self-conscious about that fact. But it was from this thing that I learned about Dillon, which is his steadiness. Dillon has this quality that when you're ricocheting through these new adventures of life, he has this ability to know exactly who he is without impeding the journey of growing into who he'd become. He's open to new adventures, while maintaining the core characteristics of who he is. And that steadiness on the outside looks really easy, but it's something that I know very few people to accomplish. And that's something that steadiness tells me that I've got a brother that I can count on in any time, and the steadiness that tells me that he's found in Sydney the woman that he's going to spend the rest of his life with. But things weren't always that clear with Sydney. For me, at least. Because, see, when things were heating up with Sydney and Dillon and I were in the infancy of our own bromance. So, as it goes with guys being dudes, there was not a lot of oversharing. So, with the bits and fragments that I kind of collected along the way, I created this picture of this mystery woman. And here's what I gathered. Number one, Dillon was in a relationship with a woman from Montenegro. Muy exotic. Number two, and she was, not to sound braggy, pretty good at English. So good that she was teaching it to kids in Podgorica. And three, aside from being a brilliant woman and a formidable linguist, she was a total hottie. So I gather this information, look at the picture, and step back, and my first thought is, oh no, my friend Dillon is in a Tinder swindler situation about to get scammed by a catfish from the Balkans. So, what do I do? It has happened. It has happened. But luckily, before I mustered the courage to confront my friend on the potential downsides of a fictitious relationship, Sydney came to visit Amsterdam, and I was instantly floored. And I think floored is the operative word for this force of nature. this Vulcan fire to Dillon's Rock of Gibraltar energy. A fire that I got to know in the most contentious moment of our relationship, which is when I suggested that given my upbringing and years spent driving in Colorado, maybe I should drive us through the snowstorm that awaited us on our road home through the Austrian Alps, which I quickly learned was not a helpful suggestion, but in fact confirmation of the systemic misogyny that was poisoning the subconscious of millennials aloof to the realities of modern day microaggressions. You don't have to be a pro on the metric system to guess how many kilometers I drove that trip. But this fire is not just vicious and helps me become a better man. It's also infectious, and it's a passionate fire that inspires me to be and follow in Sydney's steps of being courageous about my beliefs and being unapologetically me. She's an incredible friend. She's read everything that I've written in the past 2 years, except for this speech, and she might, have some feedback later. I'll get later, with only one weakness, which is the combustible combination of Taylor Swift, orange juice, and vodka. Wink, wink. But that is something that I want to say about the couple, which is that these two got range. I mean, these kids can throw down in the furthest reaches of super nerd bookworm universe and at the center of the dance floor in Amsterdam's hottest nightclub. Just like Jack was saying, I didn't know there were so many facts in existence until I met Dillon and encountered the barrage of anecdotes that were flowing from his encyclopedic mind. And at the same time, on a big night out, this guy is the first and last ordering espresso martinis. While Sydney can wax poetic about the societal ramifications of badass thought leaders like RGB down to Destiny C's Queen Bey's the Bees in a cab at sunrise. And so privileged to be your guys' friends. You guys adore each other. And it's this infatuation mixed with a unwavering warmth that flows between you two. And it's so constant that as an outsider, you wonder if you'd have room for anybody else in your life, or your hearts or your calendars. But as your friend, I feel so special and so seen. And anywhere feels like home. And so I have to thank you guys, the Lassiters and the Jaffes, because I know where that comes from. And then to you guys, you love birds, I want to say thank you so much for the privilege and the pride that I hold so dear to be your guys' friends. Cheers.
So how do I follow after that? So just for context, Jeff is part of the Amsterdam crew, however, moved to LA to pursue a writing career, hence the lyrical speech you just done. So I'm going to keep this short and sweet. I think in the agenda for this evening, it said Nadia brackets short. I must say I'm not that short. It's just because I'm leaning into the American traditions, and I thought I'd just do a little toast to two of my favourite people. Jeff made me super emotional after that, so bear with me. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Nadia. I am the token European here this evening, along with Lawrence. But as we're leaning into the American traditions, I just want to say, hey y'all! We've had the most incredible week with the Lassiter family. Like, you have been the most incredible hosts. We have done, am I crying? I cry at everything I'm about to say about like Chick-fil-A, and that's not even emotional. We've had the most incredible week. You've welcomed us into your family, and it's just been so brilliant. We were talking about the difference between English and American traditions earlier, and when you go to a wedding, you normally have two sides, so the groom side and the bride side. Now, this would be quite a tricky one for me because I actually met Dillon first, working at Liberty, as Jeff said. But Sydney, I have the honour of being one of your bridesmaids. I know Dillon said you never made a friend after college. But Annie, you are one of them, and I am the second. But Dillon will claim me as his friend. So I'm glad I don't have that trouble of deciding what side of the aisle to sit on. I will be with the bridesmaids. So on the topic of meeting, I've known Dillon and Sydney whilst living in Amsterdam. I actually can't remember the first time we met Sydney, and I think it was down to many Aperol spritzers. We both can't remember, so it's not me being a bad friend or you being a bad friend, it's mutual. But I have absolutely loved being your friend, coming into your life at a later stage and getting to know you both as a couple, actually, which has been a real privilege. When you live away in another country, your friends become your family. So Dillon, Jeff, I nearly forgot your name then. I looked at you and I was like, shit, what's your name? Adam and Lau, you don't get it, but when you live away, you choose your friends and they become your family. And we've been introduced to things like Friendsgiving, where you two made the best turkey. I don't want to know how much butter went on that turkey, but it really was nice. There's been a common theme coming up tonight about you both being nerds. I want to say it another time because you're both nerds. Dillon, I remember playing Code Names and Lawrence nearly coming away crying because you had this kind of like useless facts but become very useful in a code name situation. And you're so clever that no one gets kind of like the hints you're making. And you go really ambitious. You go for like 5, not 2. And Sydney, I think you said to me, because you are one of the most intelligent, beautiful people I've ever met, but you said, I need to marry someone who's more intelligent than me. And I think you found that in Dillon. So I know this is going to be a successful marriage. Anyway, I said this would be short, and it's not that short. I love to chat and sing when I've had a few drinks, but I'm going to save that for later. I feel absolutely honoured, privileged to be your friend, privileged to be able to spend this week with you and just be with your beautiful family. So to the Lasters, to the Jaffés, on behalf of everyone, thank you so much for inviting us into your family. I'm looking at you, don't really cry. And I just would like to raise a glass to a very successful, happy and linger longer marriage. Thanks, guys. I think there's one more. Come on, ladies. Come on down, 2 more.
Yeah, let's.
Hi guys, I'm Lindsay, and I met Sydney very quickly at Georgia. We brushed the same sorority, and I think that Mary Morgan introduced us. And going to college, one of your biggest concerns is finding a group of people that like you. And I'll never forget the first time I met Sydney, she hugged me and she said, okay, see you later, love you. Love you? I thought, oh my gosh, I didn't find someone that likes me, but she loves me. This is day 2. But as I think back now, I didn't know it then, but it gave me a peace of mind knowing that I had found, it turned into being a group of friends that ended up being like family, and being away from college for the first time, that's what you're really seeking, is a family, and Sydney was a huge part of that. Sydney has the biggest heart. She loves big and she loves hard. If any of these speeches don't tell you anything, she loves big and she loves hard. She's so smart. She's the smartest person I've ever met. I really believe that. And she's kind and compassionate and loyal, and she would do anything for the people that she does love. And she's a big leader. I mean, goodness gracious. But really, that just meant the world to me. And we were so thankful to have Sydney in our friend group because she was our doer, our planner, our chauffeur, our cook, our listening ear, and so much more. But she really did do it all, and we're so thankful that we had her in our friend group. I'll never forget Sydney, Mary Morgan, and I went back to Georgia, Athens, after November of our freshman year. We wanted to go to the Georgia Tech game in Athens that year. So it was the Saturday after Thanksgiving. And I left the game. We went into some random bar. I think the line was short. So we were like, yeah, let's go in that random bar. Sydney immediately drops everything, screams, and runs and hugs this tall, dark-haired boy. And we met Dillon that night, and we had a blast. We hung out with him all night long, and we woke up the next day, and Sydney said, oh my gosh, I can't believe we saw Dillon last night. I had the biggest crush on him in high school. I love him. Again, with the love thing. But we all went our separate ways, and when they met back in Montenegro, and we got a call from Sydney telling us all about her romantic weekend with Dillon and how she loved him. It felt true that time, and it felt like it was meant to be. And we all soon came to love Dillon too. I mean, how can you not? Seriously, Dillon, you're kind and compassionate and selfless and all the best things that I could ever think of in a person for Sydney. But when I think about Dillon, I can't help but think about when I visited Amsterdam, went to visit Amsterdam with a friend, and Dillon and I might have been a tad bit overserved. And leaving the bar, I asked Dillon if I could ride on the back of his bike. And without a doubt, he said absolutely. What Dillon did not know is that I wanted to ride side saddle, and I wanted to wave to all of the pedestrians like I was the Queen of England. And the kind, gentle person that Dillon is, he allowed me to do that. And he tried to steer us and balance us as much as he could, but we went straight into the side of a parked car. And of course, being the person that he is, he jumped up to check on me to find me laughing on the ground, apologizing to him. And that's just the kind of guy you are, Dillon, and I love you so much, and I really could not think of a better person for Sydney. And Sid, I tried to think of my favorite memory with you, and it doesn't exist. There's too many to even consider. Between Georgia Florida's, Luke Bryan, jacuzzis in the Dominican, the Rose Bowl, tailgates with your wonderful family. But what I really did realize is that we have had so many really, really good times together and so many wonderful laughs, and I couldn't help but thank God that he put you in my life. Like, seriously, you're such a blessing. And, you know, everyone made fun of us in college because they would say, oh, yeah, what are Sydney and them doing? Are Sydney and them coming? And, I mean, I never thought twice about it. I was like, yeah, we're all coming. We're all part of Sydney and them. And some people were like, no, I'm my own person. But honestly, to me, it was always an honor to be a part of Sydney and them. And there is a reason that everyone calls you Sunshine, and it's because you are such a light in what can be a very dark world sometimes. And I love you both so much, and I'm so excited to celebrate with y'all all weekend long. Cheers.
We are the closers. And you could have really put short after our name and it would be true. So get ready. Type 5. Hello, everyone. I am Tori.
And I'm Allie.
And we're Dillon's sisters. And we gotta say, we were just touched when Dillon asked us to give a speech tonight.
Oh, wait, he didn't ask us.
Here's the message we received from Sydney last week.
Hiya! I don't know if y'all wanted to do a speech next weekend or anything, but if you did, the rehearsal dinner would be the perfect time to do it. No pressure, just wanted to make sure y'all knew.
We are honored. I mean, and it's not like we're busy or anything finishing our degrees.
I mean, we've already written dozens of pages this month. Like, what's a few more? Just one, yeah. Dillon, our question for you is, what are you so afraid of? Why didn't you ask us?
Yeah, it wasn't like we were planning on getting up here and telling everyone just how long it took for you to learn to tie your shoes. 4th grade! Or you showed up with toilet bowl cleaner instead of bleach that mom asked you to get. It's okay. They're both Clorox products. We understand. I know. I'm sure you've learned from now it was last summer.
And you're always complaining that no one ever tells you anything, so maybe you're surprised we're up here speaking right now, but here we are!
It's fine, it's fine. We know you're trying to hang on to your claim of being the cool sibling. I mean, you went through all of the trouble of moving to Europe in order to achieve that.
And we have to admit, we were impressed. I mean, like, who saw it coming? Like, Europe, Dillon. But we hate to break it to you. You lost your cred as an international man of mystery when you started dating someone from Westminster. You went to Europe.
And on top of that, we learned that you're not even the coolest person named Dillon at your own place of work.
Oh, we're just kidding. Sydney, we love you.
No, we really can't think of a better addition to our family.
And here are just a couple of reasons why. Since dating Sydney, Dillon will now wear scarves. This, I have to say, I mean, that's exciting in itself, but this is a huge relief to our mother, who every other day of the year that's not a wedding will be wearing not one, but 2 scarves, so she has one to foist on a child who is not wearing a scarf.
And Sydney, you have shown us, you've shown our family that there is more than life to drink than just wine. You've taught us the wonderful world of cocktails, and specifically how to make the perfect Aperol spritz.
So from the both of us, we want to apologize in advance that all of our future Christmas gifts are going to pale in comparison to yours, Sydney.
But Dillon and Sydney, we love you. We're so happy for you both. Please come visit us more, even though we know we're not as fun as a Princeton reunion or a destination bachelor party.
You know, those great reasons to fly across an ocean. All right, so to Dillon and Sydney, one last final time. Let's give a toast. Congratulations.
How'd you roast you?
Wow. Wasn't expecting to get so cooked by my own family. We love you too. Wow. But no, thank you guys so much for coming. I mean, this has been such a great start to this weekend. I can't wait for the rest of it. It's already such a dream, but it's going to be even better from now.
And thanks to the Jaffes for the most unbelievable rehearsal dinner. This is the perfect way to start the weekend.
So we love you all. Keep eating, keep drinking.
Keep drinking a lot.
And we'll see you guys, the rest of this weekend. Thanks so much.